Do this one thing to finally overcome your fear, so then you live your dream life. Make sure you stick around to the whole of the video because you're not going to want to miss this gem. If you're watching this video and you're going through a spiritual awakening, you're doing your inner work, shadow work, healing your inner child, subscribe to this channel so then I can aid you in your healing journey, and it's my goal to spread my message as far as possible. So with that being said, let's just skip straight onto the video now. So the number one thing to do when you are feeling the fear, you want to overcome that fear, is engage in presence. Presence is the ultimate thing to do. Being in the present moment will liberate you. So we live in time, space, matter. We live in a reality that is linear time, so they say. So what happens here, we believe there's a past, present, and future. And when we are coming from fear, we are always in the future. We are always thinking the worst case scenario. This is where anxiety comes a lot into it. We feel anxious about what could happen. And often that is the worst case scenario. What happens if I do this? What happens if they laugh at me? What happens if I poo myself? What happens if I'm gonna die? Because that is what the ego is making you believe about the future when you want to take that leap of faith. And in the present moment, there is no worst case scenario. The present moment, all that there is this exact moment in time. For me right now, it's this exact moment. Every minute, every second is a new moment. Every second is a new moment. And when we are able to bring ourselves into the present moment, we realize that there is no fear. That ego is not able to hold on to any past event, any future scenario, because it's actually not taking place in that present moment. And what we can do is, when we come back into that present moment, is actually feeling into our bodies and feeling into our external environment around ourselves, and remind ourselves that we are safe. Because when we are feeling fear, we are sending the signal, our amygdala is sending the signal to the nervous system. So that's fight, flight, freeze, and we get triggered. And our fears are often then projected, or we just don't take the action because we feel that the worst case scenario is going to happen. And often it doesn't. And often we want to stay in our comfort zones because we fear what might happen on the outside. Like I said, the worst case scenario. And these sometimes are little fears that we feel in our head. I believe someone's gonna laugh at me, someone's gonna judge me, someone's gonna throw dirt in my face, somebody's gonna say this, we come up with all these extreme scenarios of what might happen. So our comfort zone is over here, and the outside of that comfort zone is over here. And what we want to do is take little steps at a time to get out of the comfort zone. And when we engage in each little step, whatever that might be for you to get out of your comfort zone, every time we engage with the present moment of what that feels like, of what that is happening in our bodies right now. Because when we engage in the present moment, we need to feel how that feels in our bodies. Be mindful of what is going on and remind ourselves, our prefrontal cortex, we need to remind that and tell it that I am safe in my body, my environment is safe right now. to send that signal to the amygdala, so then our bodies and our nervous system come back to a resting state. So then our mind isn't going crazy, and the ego isn't attaching to something that's in the future or attaching to a belief that we've held on to from the past. So always engage in the present moment, because no other time exists, and the ego cannot do anything from the present moment. You can just be in that present moment. So this is the one thing you can do to really overcome the fear, is realizing every moment is a new moment, and I am safe in that every moment. And going from that comfort zone to the outside, engaging in every little step of presence along that way. And when we feel the fear, what do we need to do? Is just feel it and lean into it, and then do it anyway. Often, fear, what is that? It's telling us a signal of something, and the signal is that something bad is going to happen. Like I've said, the worst case scenario. But when we feel into it and we do it anyway, what's on the other side of that? Outside the comfort zone. It's beauty, it's freedom, it's liberating. It can be so exciting. And when we just come into the present moment and get into our bodies and out of our heads, drop from the head and into the heart, the ego cannot exist. It will dissolve, and then it won't attach to the worst case scenario and come up with all these excuses of why you shouldn't, to keep you in your safe zone. Because along the way of stepping out of your comfort zone and facing your fears, your ego will make up more fears. It will make up so many stories that we try to attach to keep you safe in your comfort zone. And all the ego wants to do is keep you safe, to keep you alive, to keep you in survival mode, but it's just not helpful. So I always say the ego is not your friend, but it's not your enemy at the same time. It serves its purpose. And we always want the ego to take the back seat, and we take that leap. We move forward no matter what the worst case scenario stories are playing in our head. We come back into presence and say, I am safe. Shut up, ego, you're taking the back seat right now. I am the driver, and I get to take that leap, because on the other side it's fucking beautiful, and I am liberated when I am able to step outside of that. So it's always just about feeling into it and doing it anyway, because the fear, for me, I always say that it's a sign that I have to do it. When I first went through my spiritual awakening, I dove straight into shadow work. I did inner child work, belief work, whatever you want to call it. I started to face my fears. I started to face my demons, whatever you want to call it. And there was this time when I really wanted to let go of an old friend. She was not in alignment with me anymore. She wasn't very supportive, and I felt very disempowered around her. And I was like, snip, snip, yeah, you're getting cut out of my life, because I no longer want to engage in this competitive gossip lifestyle that you thrive off. So I did, I guess if you want to say, a cutting cord ceremony. I did a little ritual. I wrote a letter to say thank you for everything I've learned from you, yada yada. And then I burnt it and I meditated on it, and to help me really let go. And where the fear part comes into this, I reached out into my local community's a Facebook group for spiritual people, the spiritual community in my area. And I posted in it saying, I'm looking for some more high vibe friends. I felt like I was being guided to do this. And I was also looking for a healer, a Reiki healer at the time. And this kind of frightened me. I'm an introvert. I've always been labelled as shy my whole life. So making new friends and being in social situations always makes me feel a bit icky. I can kind of enjoy my own company. I never had a large group of friends. So this was pushing me outside of my comfort zone, but it felt so right. I think that's the thing, when we know something is right and in alignment, our higher self and our souls will push us through that, and we know that it's right. So the fear is easier to overcome. But when I posted that, I had tons of people commenting on it, obviously reaching out because I asked for a healer, but also that they wanted me to add them on Facebook, and all these people like lived in my area. And there was 2 women that added me on Facebook, and they wanted to start doing like our own little group chat, and they offered to do a FaceTime meetup chat thing. And because it was still like the COVID times and all that, so what we did was just like a Zoom, I think it was FaceTime thing, and we planned it like a couple of days in advance, and the entire time I was feeling fear, like I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, oh my god, I'm gonna die, this is horrible, this feeling, this fear. But what I did was just feel that, and I know the fear is sending me a signal that I'm meant to do it, because on the other side is freedom, and you realize it wasn't actually that bad. And you're like, what was I worrying about? The fear is just an attachment, a story, that it's the fear we're afraid of anyway. It's never really the story, if that makes sense. So I did this FaceTime chat with that. I'm not used to this, like just new strangers, like I'm making friends with. Like, this is the first time I've made friends again since probably like secondary school. So yeah, did the FaceTime, and it was fine. I didn't die, nothing happened. And the entire time I was like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? Because it was just me and one of my other friends at first, before the other lady joined in, and it was a little bit awkward, like, oh yeah, you know, the small talk stuff, and it's just like, I can't stand small talk. So yeah, it was a bit uncomfortable at first, but lean into that. So I always use this mantra. It's not really a mantra, but I go by, if I feel fear, it's because I'm meant to do it. It's that feeling that it'll be amazing on the other side. And all the time is just come back into that presence and think, well, nothing's happening now. And don't get attached to the outcome of what could happen, and just surrender and come back into that present moment. So I hope you've enjoyed my video today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you can be guided through your healing journey, finally break free, liberate yourself, and know that you hold the keys to your true potential. That being said, I will see you on the next video. Much love.